What's going on, my beautiful soul? Welcome back to Terriann Talks. I am Terriann Belle, and welcome to Narc Talk, where we discuss and talk about narcissism, the spiritual meaning behind it all, and what we can do to heal ourselves from this traumatic experience. So today I want to talk about, the subject is, the narcissist is ego-driven. The narcissist is very, very much driven by their ego. And this means that they are more so worried about their image. How will they be looked at? How will they be perceived by others? Their image, and it's not always their physical appearance, but it's their image, the person that they are trying to portray, like the person that people think of when they think of this person. You know, they say, describe this person. They want to be described as, you know, being a person that follows the criteria that they have for themselves. And you see, with the narcissists, they have this thing where their ego and the way that they view themselves is really contrary to who they truly are. It's kind of more so the exact opposite of what they portray themselves as. Like, you can hear a narcissist saying, "Oh, I am such a good person." And they're saying that all the time, but you already know that they are not a good person because of how they have treated you. Or you can hear a person say, "I'm just so humble," but they are the least amount of humble you have ever seen. You know, this is the thing, like, they want for other people to perceive them the way that they falsely perceive themselves. Now, deep down, narcissists know that they do not have those qualities that they have. They know that they don't. They know that the issues that they have within themselves, they know that it creates problems within their self-esteem, within their self-love, you know, but they are just so full of pride that they just cannot admit to themselves that they have these problems, they have these issues. So instead, what they do is, instead of taking the accountability, they instead project to other people. So if they're dealing with something internally, instead of them facing the reality of what that is, instead of looking in the mirror and facing themselves, they would rather project all of that energy onto somebody else. They would rather throw all of that negative energy and how bad they feel about themselves onto somebody else and start targeting them and hurting them and saying a bunch of things to them, all because they are trying to avoid how they are truly feeling. Now, let me give you an example with this. Let's say, for example, you have two siblings living at home with their parents during this pandemic. And let's say neither one of the siblings are working right now. You know, they're kind of doing their own thing, you know, working on their business, but they aren't working like a regular job. You know, a lot of people stop working regular jobs, you know. But let's say, for example, one sibling is, so let's pretend that this is a narcissistic family. So this is not like a normal situation. This is a narcissistic family where narcissism runs very deep throughout this entire dynamic. And usually when you have this, you can have other children that can become narcissists themselves, or can just have narcissistic tendencies that are very severe and needs deep healing in order to reverse those situations. Not every single person with the narcissistic tendencies are a actual narcissist, because some of them do have empathy, but some of them could be more so on the spectrum of narcissism than they are on empathy. They're not as balanced. You know, it's like a narcissist is full-blown 100% narcissist, you know, but when it's with another person that has, you know, grown up in a narcissistic environment, it can be like a 60-40. You know, some people are like this their whole lives. Some people, it's like more like a 90-10 10% they're good, the other 90% they're bad. And a lot of times when you have people that are not necessarily born that way, they're developed into that version of themselves. They've gone through trauma, but the trauma has crippled them emotionally to the point where they can only go so far of that age. And because also it has damaged their spirit, and they have not allowed God, that divine spirit, into their hearts, they have allowed the other source, the other master, the enemy, take host in their body, or their entities take host in their body, because without that godly divinity spirit within you, without that loving spirit within you, it'll be easier for the enemy to attach to you. We have to realize that narcissism is spiritual warfare. Narcissists are the fallen angels. They're entities, they're demons running around, and they're trying to take host in someone's body. So they take host in the bodies of people that have gone through so much trauma within their lives, and these people did not turn to God. They turned away from God, and that's exactly how these people have that narcissistic demon attached to them. Now, the only way a person can be delivered from their narcissistic tendencies is through God. That is the only way, because it's a spiritual warfare. It's a demon that they have to deliver themselves from. Now, a person can have narcissistic tendencies, grow up in a narcissistic environment, but because they have also gone through trauma, and they can adopt some of those behaviors that they have seen their parents do or their family do. So they adopt these behaviors and they absorb them like a sponge. But here's the difference. Here is how they do not become a narcissist and they remain in their empathy, is because while they are performing these tendencies onto other people, these narcissistic tendencies on others, they start to feel bad. They start to feel guilty. They start to feel, a bit, ashamed of themselves. They start to get upset and disappointed with themselves, because they're like, this is not me. This is not how I act. This is not how I speak. This is not how I treat people. I don't want to be this way. What is going on? What's wrong? For them to openly recognize it and to see that it's a issue and it's a problem because they are behaving in ways that they wouldn't normally behave in, that's how you know they have some form of awareness within them. That's how you know they have that divinity, that love of God within them, because they're able to recognize what a godly spirit feels like and looks like and how they behave, and what a demonic spirit behaves and acts like. And this probably happened to you when you were growing up. You probably had some narcissistic tendencies. You probably bullied people. You probably did so many things, but you felt guilty about it. You knew that you were doing something wrong, so you turned to God. You changed yourself. You healed yourself. And then now look at where you are now. So it's okay. But I digress. Let's go back to that example. Let's say, for example, you have siblings living in the house during this pandemic. They're both not working, but they're building their businesses. And both siblings are already hard on themselves because they're struggling in their finances, trying to do what they can. And, they could feel a little bit, guilty for still living at home and being a young adult, realizing that they should be better in a different position than where they are. And of course that can cause stress on anybody, and a person can already be hard on themselves. So you have one sibling that handles it the right way. They're already hard on themselves, so they're not going to go and be hard on their other sibling. They're going to just channel all of that energy into doing what they can do for themselves and get themselves into a better position, so that way they can alleviate the stress and get themselves moving. They are handling it the right way. They're not starting arguments with anybody. They're not projecting their own frustrations onto somebody else. They're dealing with it on their own. Now, another sibling, which will seem to have narcissistic tendencies, is they're frustrated about the fact that they're still living at home. They're upset that their life is not where they want it to be. They're, worrying and stressed about finances. So instead of them facing the reality within themselves, like, I have to do better, I have to figure this out, I have to do what I can, instead of them facing that reality, what they would rather do is go to that other sibling and start picking at them, start poking at them, and start trying to chastise them, antagonize them, belittle them, tell them, oh, you need to do this, and you need to get up, you need a job, you need money, you need this. And it's like every single thing that this one sibling is saying to their other sibling is the very thing that they should be saying to themselves. It's like, baby, take your own advice. Say this to yourself in the mirror. All of this energy that you're spending saying this to me, you say this to yourself and apply it to yourself. You can get out of your situation. I may be speaking from a personal experience, but hey, this is how it is. So let me tell you how I handled this situation. The way I handled this situation is I asked my sibling, I said, okay, well, why do you feel the need to say all of this to me? And like, well, I'm trying to get you to, I want you to understand this. And I had to stop them and I say, well, listen, I feel like you're trying to school me on something that you think that I'm not aware of, but I'm letting you know that I am aware of that. And I don't need to be schooled on this topic when I'm already fully aware. Sometimes they will make up any type of thing or excuse or reason to say what they want to say to you. And when I was asking this sibling, I'm like, well, what point are you trying to prove by telling me all of this? What is your motive? Are you proving this to yourself or are you proving this to me? Like, what are you trying to prove this to? Asking them questions. Like, I'm like, what is the reason behind all of this hostility and frustration? I'm trying to, I was really trying to see if this sibling would actually be real with themselves, but they weren't ready to be real with themselves. So I had to just walk away. And they kept making up excuses and everything. And like, trying to pretend, like was thinking that I was unaware, thinking that I didn't know what I was doing, thinking that I wasn't a person that was going after my goals or whatever the case is. That's their perception and that's what they think. And I'm not about to argue their point if they've already made up their mind. But the way that I handled it, and hopefully this can really help somebody, is I politely told them to just mind their own business and worry about themselves. Now, we don't have to say this in a very negative way. We don't have to be obnoxious. We don't have to be passive aggressive. We don't have to be hostile. We can handle them in a very divine way and just say, this is how I handled it. I said, well, listen, I just feel that all of this energy that you are channeling at me and telling me what I need to do, I feel if you put that energy back into yourself, that would be better for you. Just telling them to just take that, like to keep their energy over there and to not focus energy on me. And I was also telling them, I'm like, I already know what I have to do with my life. I know what I have to do. But I don't need you to tell me what I need to do, and I'm already telling myself. I was basically saying things like that to them. And that, the argument kind of, prolonged a little bit. Like there was a pause, there was a break, and then this person came back and they started to gaslight. So they started to make up something and say, well, the reasons to why I was saying this to you is because of A, B, C, D, when that wasn't even the case. I clearly caught that person in their gaslighting fiasco. And once again, they were saying a bunch of things about, well, our parents are going to make you get a job soon. Like, what are you going to do first to support yourself? What happens if they ask you to get a job? And I'm telling them, I say, well, that does not concern you. That will not concern you because you are not the parent. You're the sibling. Basically, another person, like if you were to say this in a very fleshly way and you were in your ego, you would basically tell them like, you know what, you ain't my mama, you ain't my daddy. I don't need you to tell me what I need to do. Mind your business, mind your own, keep your nosy self. See, that's what the flesh would want to say. But instead of that, if the flesh wants to say this, bring your soul into it. And that is how you respond. You see, the best way to handle narcissistic people is through communication, because what they want to do is they want so much control that they use communication to control. But when you can know what a narcissist's tactics are, you know their behaviors, because they are very predictable. And when you can know what they're getting ready to do, all you have to do is stay several steps ahead of them and put the mirror in their face. Every time they try to look away from that mirror, keep putting it back in their face. Handle it the best way that you can. Be tactful. Stay calm. Stay gentle. Do not let them out of your character. Because eventually, when you're not reacting, when you're not engaging, when you're not, if they're trying to gaslight you, if you're not being confused, if you're standing your ground, eventually they will give up and they can't get to you because they're realizing that they don't have any power over you, the conversation, or the situation. And they have no control. So if they have no power nor control, there's nothing that they can do. Also, a narcissist will have you around in their life and have you maybe as like, if this is a friend, they will have you around just to make themselves look better. Or if this is a romantic partner, they will have you around as being like their trophy. If you're a woman, that man just wanted a beautiful woman on his arm so that he can look good for his homeboys. Because when a man has a woman on his arm, he automatically looks and feels more superior in the guy's world. And if the woman is beautiful and she's a quality woman, then of course that's even more points for him. You see, he can see how valuable you are, how beautiful and amazing you are, but he will not invest into you the way that you deserve to be because he just wants to use you as a prop. He wants to just use you as a means to make himself look good or feel good. Everything is about how their ego feels. If their ego is bruised, if they're feeling bad, and then they will have to go after somebody else and start arguments with them, pick a fight with them because they need that control back. You ever wonder why narcissists pick arguments with you out of nowhere? You could just be sitting there minding your business and here they come bringing stuff up. It's because they want power and control. And sometimes what can happen is secretly, you have no idea how this happened, but secretly in such a way, they lost their power some way. Whether they were texting somebody, whether they was at work, whatever the case is. In some situation, they feel like they have lost some of their power or are losing some of their power. So in a desperate attempt to get that power back, they revert to aggression, hostility, and passive aggressiveness. They result into arguing with people, by battling with people, debating with people just so they can win. Winning is everything. Winning makes their ego feel alive, and losing makes them feel the opposite. You ever notice that a narcissist can be a very sore loser? But what was even worse is, actually I'll take that back because, if they lose, sometimes they can be a sore loser. Sometimes they can just brush it off like, nope, I'm fine. I'm not, my ego is not bruised. I'm fine. But other times, this is how you really know. When they are a sore winner, when every single time they win, they got to gloat about it. Every single time they win, they got to throw it in your face. Even to a point where a narcissistic parent could get overly competitive with their young child. And sometimes it's at moments where if you're playing a video game or playing a sport with your child, sometimes you got to just let the child win. Let the child win so they can build them up some confidence. Let the child win so that they can feel like they've accomplished something. That's what it is. Like, you save that real competitive stuff for when you're with someone your own age. Someone like, pick up somebody your own size. You save that for then. But to be overly competitive with your child is a bit much. It's like that narcissist wants to be in power so much that they don't care who they have to hurt or be wrong to. Even their own children, they do not care. Now, the narcissist will also feel threatened by others. They will feel threatened by other people because someone can be seen as someone that can take the spotlight away from them, someone that can take the attention away from them. And if they ever feel that someone else around could possibly have all the attention have the spotlight, be placed on a pedestal, that person is a threat to the narcissist. So what they will do is they will make that person look bad or feel bad to boost their own ego. So they can make this person look bad by intentionally provoking them so that this person reacts in a hostile way, which is reactive abuse. And then they say, hey, and then they want to sit there and laugh at you and make a mockery of you and point fingers at you because you reacted to their abuse, but they just provoked you. You know, they want you to look like the inferior one in the situation. You know, or what they'll do is if you do something or say something funny or whatever, they will blow up what you've done and tell everybody, like, no, did you see what he did? No, let me tell you what she just did. And they say it in front of a group of people just to get everybody to look at you. That's what they want. They want everybody in the room to be looking over at you, looking at you like, well, did you do this? And why would you do that? They want all of the attention to be on you, but they want negative attention on you. You see how they operate? You see how they operate? You know, if you have some positive attention on you, they will do whatever it is that they can to make sure that the next attention that you get is going to be negative, even if they have to create it themselves. Why? Because their ego is currently bruised by seeing somebody else having the attention, somebody else having the spotlight, somebody else doing something better. They do not want to see other people shining because they want to be the only one shining. They're used to just shining all by themselves, and they don't want to share the stage. They don't want to share the spotlight. They want it all to be on them because their ego cannot handle not being the center of attention. Their ego cannot handle other people seeing them in a different light. Their ego cannot handle that. Their ego can only handle other people seeing them as they falsely see themselves. You know, they will boost their own ego by trying to make you look bad, you know, or trying to make you feel bad. You know, they put others down to build themselves up. You know, a narcissist is so driven by their ego and what's going to make them look good and feel good that they will bring misery to other people just to make themselves happy. You know, these people, if they feel like you're a threat to their ego, they could curse you, you know, or get aggressive with you because they feel like you could mess up their image. You know, they'll say things like, you know, I have an image to uphold and I don't trust you because you can mess up my image. You know, as if you would intentionally try to do that. But that's all in their own mind because they feel threatened by you in their own mind. They think that anything that you do is going to mess them up and make them look bad. When in reality, they're telling on themselves. In reality, they're exposing their motives. In reality, they care so much about their own image that they will go to the lengths of sabotaging you and making you look bad to make themselves feel better. Pay attention to what a narcissist says because they expose themselves for who they are without even realizing it. Read it between the lines. You know, or they can also say things like, you know, I don't like being perceived as someone that, you know, they never like to be perceived any other type of way that they do not perceive themselves. So what that looks like is if you're dealing with a narcissist that is very rude, arrogant, haughty, supercilious, just a person that's just so superficially bougie and uppity, just so many adjectives that I can describe it, but you get the picture. If you have a person like this, you have a narcissist like that, they do not want other people to see them in that light. They don't want other people to see them in this way. So if you were to point that out to them and say, you know what, you can be kind of arrogant the way that you talk. You could be very, very, you know, superficial, like whatever it is that you can say, or you could be very rude when you talk to people. They're like, well, I don't like being perceived as someone that is, you know, talks rude to people. You know, you see, they read it between those lines. It's not that They do not want others to look at them as a person that is aggressive. They only want people to look at them in such a way. It's because their ego is their biggest weapon. Their ego is their biggest weapon. So as long as their ego is strong, they will be strong. When their ego is bruised and weak, they are weak. It's crazy because you can defeat a narcissist by defeating their ego, by completely killing their ego. When their ego is completely damaged and you've damaged their ego in that moment, you have won the battle with them. You know, if you are in an argument with a narcissist and they're saying a bunch of things and they're gaslighting you, they're projecting, and all you do is throw it back in their face and you won't fold, and you put the mirror back into their face so that they can't hide from this anymore, at that point in time, they can't do anything about it. They have to just accept it. They have to face it. And even if they aren't willing to accept it at the moment, they hear you. And what they'll do is they'll flee the scene. They'll flee the scene. They would just, stop talking to you, or they'll just walk away or whatever. And it's crazy because it's like, usually it's you walking away from the narcissist when you guys are having an argument because they just don't want to let up. But if it ever has a moment where they are walking away from you, that's a powerful thing because they feel like they have no more control in the situation. It's nothing that they can do. They don't like it when people match their energy entirely. But when you match their energy, sometimes you may match it in a 3D way, but sometimes you can match it in a 5D way to where they can't even get to your level, so they just walk away. They'll try breaking up old things and you're not folding for you. Like, no, we are not even talking about this. We're talking about this. We're not about to deal with that. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. We're going to address the subject at hand. You always bring this up, but you always bring it up because you have the issue, not me. Tell it like it is. Tell these people the truth. Anytime they run the risk of people finding out how they truly are, they get frightened. They get scared because their image is all they have. Their image is really all they have. And if that gets tarnished, if people see them as a totally different person as to how they portray themselves, if people see their true colors, they know that they will lose some people. They will lose some friends. They will lose some family members. They will lose relationships. They will lose colleagues. They will lose peers. They will lose a respect for certain people. But the thing is, all of that they built for themselves was built off of a lie. And you cannot build off of faulty ground because it's going to just come tumbling down. It's going to come tumbling down eventually because they built their foundation on faulty ground. It's not strong. It's not sturdy enough. Because when you build on a lie, it crumbles. When you build on truth, it stands tall. When you build on a lie, it crumbles. When you build on truth, it stands tall. See, these narcissists, they build their relationships, the people around them, off of a lie. And eventually it's going to crumble. It's going to fall because people are going to eventually see them for who they truly are. And once they see that person for who they truly are, they can't unsee it. They can't unsee it. And their perception of this person will definitely change. They may lose some respect for them, and then they may decide to just walk away and leave them. But the narcissist has nobody to blame but themselves. Because if they were being truthful, if they were being real, if they were being a genuine person, then these people never would have found out about them. The narcissists, their ego, their image is all they have. So they do so much to protect it. And it's crazy because they care more about their own image than they do their own integrity. Let me say that again. They care so much about their image that they would sacrifice their own integrity just to protect their image. They will get up here and just be so superficial, get up in front of social media, get up in front of your face and be so fake to hide the fact that all they're trying to do is protect their image. They just want people to look at them a certain way. They want people to perceive them a certain way. They want to be viewed as a certain person. But they have to realize that they don't see this though. They don't see this. And I know how it's with the narcissist, it's like it's irrational and you can't rationalize with the irrational. To us, we would think, well, why can't you just be yourself? Why can't you just be truthful? Why can't you just be honest? Because they cannot. They live too much in the flesh. They've separated themselves from their soul. They live too much in the flesh. Why do you think narcissists are like tend to be, sex demons, or they have sex demons around them? Because they're so in their flesh. You ever notice how narcissists tend to be very promiscuous? Because their flesh is how they get their interaction. Their flesh is how they feel satisfaction. And, intercourse is using the flesh. But you realize people that are not of the fleshly desires, people that are living from their soul, they realize, when we intertwine both of our sacred chakras and become one, we will do that when it's mutual, the timing is perfect, and the passion is there. Have things happen naturally. I mean, sex is a part of life, but you do it with the person you love, not just casual. But these people, like these narcissists, they don't care. They would just go sleep with somebody and then go to the next. Sleep with somebody and then go off with their life. And it's crazy because these people could be going around and being so promiscuous and transferring energies to different people. And then they can come back to you and then give you those energies. So please be careful. Please be careful. If you're with a narcissist, please be careful. So I'm going to say, I can't tell you what to do with your life, but I will say to please be careful, because if you realize that after you all got done doing your business and all of a sudden, you start to feel sluggish and drained and you feel not like yourself, it's because there was a negative spirit that just got transferred into your body. I mean, a few minutes of satisfaction for a long term, a long amount of time for you to be feeling like that is not worth it, baby. It's really not. If sex ain't with the person that you love, it's not even worth it. Argue with me if you want to, but it's not worth it. And I just think so many people today, they put so much emphasis on it, not even realizing that people being so promiscuous that way is kind of another reason as to how they attract narcissists into their life. Because narcissists are takers. And if you're willingly wanting to give your body away, they're going to just take it. And then sometimes people could be so mesmerized by the sex that they're not even realizing that that they're not even in love with this person, and this person is not in love with them. You guys are just good in bed. And sometimes a person could just be good in bed, but they are not in love with you. Sometimes people can confuse good sex with making love. Making love means you were in love before you hit the bedroom. Meaning you fell in love with their heart, their mind, their spirit before you fell in love with their body. But if you feel like you're in love with them just because of how good they do you, I'm sorry, that's not love, that's lust. Narcissists have the spirit of lust within them. That spirit of lust is a demon. They have it within them. That's why narcissists tend to be so promiscuous. That's why narcissists can sometimes, sexually abuse their partners, or just a narcissist can sexually abuse a person, period. They doesn't even have to be a partner that they're with. They could just be any person, because that spirit of lust is just so intertwined in them. Because lust is going after the flesh, and narcissists, all they care about is fleshly desires. It's deeper than this, y'all. It's so deep. It's so spiritual. You gotta realize this, bro. Realize what you're dealing with. You're dealing with demons. When you're dealing with narcissists, you're dealing with demons, dark entities. Let's continue. These people, if you threaten their image, or if they feel like you are threatening their image, they will do what they can to protect their image at all costs. Because that fear they feel will have them react with anger and hostility towards another individual. So you ever notice how when a narcissist feels threatened, they start getting hostile and aggressive towards another person? Because they're thinking in their mind, how dare a person whatever, let me go hurt this person. That's their reaction, is with anger and hostility. They will put others down to make themselves look more superior in a situation, because it's all about power It's all about winning, and it's all about control, and they will fight with you until they get it. And with these narcissists, they care so much about their image that they will deny doing certain things to people and deny things that have happened because it's going to make their image look bad. And also, and this is another thing with like the gaslighting, they'll deny your whole reality. But another thing is that narcissists are so ego driven that they will do certain things that it's just for a boost of their ego. Like, you see a lot of narcissists in church. You see a lot of them in church. They go to church one day a week, and then when they leave that church parking lot, it's as if they take the mask off and then the demon is unleashed. I literally have watched this. I have left church, and a narcissistic parent, just as soon as we like pull out the parking lot, the attitude just comes through, and it's nasty. And it's like, how can you be that negative when you just got out of the Lord's house and we just spent all this time worshiping, praising God? I mean, I seen you singing in the choir. You seemed like you was having a ball. You was having a grand old time. But you come out of church and you acting like that? Come on now, man. And that's how you know, because they only go to church just to make themselves look good. Just to be perceived as somebody that is a churchgoer. And those are the same ones those one day a weekers are the same ones that'll look at other people that are spiritual that choose not to go to church. Like, how dare you not go to the house of the Lord? But it's like, okay, baby, the house of the Lord is within my spirit, what's in my soul. I don't need to go to the house of the Lord. It's okay to go to those. There's nothing wrong with it. But I don't need to go to them to connect. See, you all people think you need to go to that in order to consider yourselves holy. But listen, you are holy by living out the scripture, by living out the word of God, by living out that godly spirit, not by just going to church and wearing your Sunday's best and being in church on time, standing up when the choir is singing, listening to the sermon, having your Bible out. Like, a lot of people, they want to just look like they are a person that is of God, but they can have no real spiritual connection to God because of how they behave, how they act. Listen, they are so ego driven that everything that they do is driven by their ego. Everything they do is what's going to make me look good, what's going to make me feel good, what's going to give me satisfaction. And listen, if they ever put you down in any way or hurt you in any way because to make their ego feel better, this is how you can outsmart them. You can, or say, I may tell you to say something that may sound a little condescending, but, I'm going to say it. You could say something like, so did that give you the ego satisfaction you were looking for? Because honestly, that's exactly what they were looking for. They were looking to gain an ego satisfaction. They were looking for that validation. And when you kind of throw that back in their face, they're kind of blindsided. They're kind of flabbergasted. Now listen, this is why I say, handle narcissists with wisdom. Do not handle them with hostility. Because if they say something negative to you and they say, yeah, and that's why you're stupid. And you say to them, okay, well, that's why you're ugly. That's why you're dumb. Like, why match their energy? Because then they could say, okay, well, you're uglier, you're dumber. They can match your energy. They can go even lower. Or they'll throw some low blows. Yeah, that's why you did this thing. And that's why you lost that job. That's why that person left you. Yeah, like, honestly, it's no use stooping down at their level and doing what they are doing to you. It's no use of you reacting in your flesh with them. But a way to stop a narcissist and to combat them and to shut them down is through honest communication. And if you have to be the one that has to be honest with them about what's going on because you are spiritually aware and discerning of what's going on, then baby, speak your truth. Because for far too long, these people have controlled everyone else, and they have had so many things going in their favor, and they're causing all of this damage and construction while they're just sitting back as if they've done nothing wrong. But now the tables have turned. Now things are different. Now people are awakening to what's been going on, and now people are getting stronger, and they're stepping back into the battlefield against these narcissists, and now they know how to defeat them. One day, every single narcissist on this planet will be defeated. And it's going to take us going against them one by one. You see, in this day and age, it's light versus dark, good versus evil, angels versus demons. Those narcissists are demons. They're the darkness. They're the evil. While we are the light, the angels, the good. So let's step into that power, be those good, loving, light angels, earth angels that we are, and show these demons, show these narcissists who our master is, and that is the Most High God. And if God be for us, who can be against us? Exactly. Defeat narcissists by stepping into your power and stepping into your divinity. You cannot defeat the narcissist by stepping into their level. You must rise above it. Because light always overpowers darkness.